We have worked together for the past 4.5 years without stopping by to say hello to you and to say that may God bless all of you. Amen. I have just been nominated by Mr. President to join the Executive Council to offer services to the nation. My colleagues honored me in line with our tradition, having been a minority leader, just to take a bow. So there was no way I could elaborate on any issue because it was just to take a bow and to leave. So I felt I should use this opportunity to further assure Nigerians that definitely I will do my best to assist Mr. President to take Nigerians to the next level. And when we talk about the next level, we are talking about minimizing banditry. We are talking about minimizing corruption, or if possible, trying to eliminate it in totality. We are talking about bringing food to the table of Nigerians. We are talking about a more secure country. We are talking about fighting the banditry in the northeast, and of course, totally bringing to the end the militancy in the south-south. We want to see improvement in foreign direct investment in the country. We want to see a possible stop to the continuous importation of fuel that seems to take over 1/3 of our yearly resources, because we have enough crude oil. We have all we need is the determination and the expertise to have not just modular theaters, but revamp the existing refineries and then also bring in modular refineries to see how we can stop importing fuel in Nigeria. That will help Nigerians a lot. Over and above that, industrializing Nigeria will mean major improvement in power. Major improvement in power, because that remains the foundation of industrialization. We have had in the years a situation whereby many jobs were shipped abroad. So many companies have left us. Michelin, that used to make tires. We have lost over 50 textile companies in Kano. And of course, so many Dunlop and so many others that used to be in Nigeria have gone. And each time any company passes out of Nigeria, jobs go with them. And then more unemployment enters the country. So we'd like to close the door in terms of people deserting Nigeria and open the door for people to come in and bring more investment and, of course, create job opportunities. We have not in the past had the privilege or the opportunity to take a roll call, to do a major evaluation of the number of universities in the country and the output from those universities vis-a-vis the jobs that we create. As a member of the Federal Executive Council, I work with Mr. President to ensure that we work more on statistics, because a country that does not plan has planned to fail. We must do the number of children that come out of universities, and we must take cognizance of the number of jobs that we are creating on a yearly basis, and we must double our efforts, because anybody who starts a race late must run faster than others if he or she wishes to win. And so Nigeria is what I may call the footnote at the moment in terms of industrialization in the world. We must move from that. And then we must try our best to ensure that we bond the country together. I've had that opportunity before when I was a governor. Almost most of my aides were from different parts of Nigeria. My CSO was from Kano, my ADC was from Azare, my Otley was from Kaduna, and so many others. And I also worked with people from Akwa Ibom State and South Side and all that. When I had the privilege to declare free and compulsory education in Akwa Ibom State as a governor and pay subvention per head in secondary schools and primary schools, I did that across the whole of this country, across the length and breadth of the state, irrespective of where you come from. I opened it up to all Nigerian children, including mere pilgrimages. We had the opportunity to send people on pilgrimage. I did it for both Christians and Muslims. So the government of President Muhammadu Buhari GCFR and Vice President Osinbajo, we will do our best to ensure that every Nigerian feels it. There's something I used to say when I was a governor. I said my state was always called the land of promise. But I can tell you that for many years, many people never had the opportunity of feeling that promise, seeing the promise, or even touching it. And so by the time I finished, even the blind could feel the promise. because there was no pothole on the road. And then even the child that was selling newspaper in Lagos could also have the opportunity to test that promise because the child now had free education. And those who were motorists and mechanics and others also felt the promise because the vehicles did not need to break down on a daily basis. And so today, as I stand before you, I give my word that I will not change. I will continue to give uncommon representation wherever I am. This time I'm going to represent the larger Nigeria. I assure you that definitely I'll do my best to assist Mr. President to take us to the next level. And the next level will be a level where you can sleep with your eyes closed, where we are sure the next meal, and where at least more employment opportunities are created for Nigerian children, and particularly our graduates. I had a program I used to call Integrated Farmer Scheme. That program was training thousands of graduates coming out of universities, and at the end, encouraging them, some with 500,000 at the beginning, some with 1 million naira, to engage in small farm holdings. At the end, we realized that there was a quantum leap in terms of agricultural production across the state. And so we went and started encouraging women with WADEP, that's Women in Agriculture Development Program. And we gave them just a token of 250,000 each to go into seedlings, buying of seedlings, better seedlings to encourage them in agriculture. So I think the first and starting point is that any country that cannot feed itself can never be great. For Nigeria, with a population of almost 180 million, to be great in Africa and within the sub-region, we must be able to feed ourselves. So there will be need for us to also engage deeply in the agricultural sector to create jobs. And of course, revamp the petroleum industry, which is almost the mainstay of the economy. If we revamp it and unbundled the NNPC, when we unbundle it for better efficiency, I can tell you that definitely the next level will be the level of joy for all Nigerians. I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I assure you I'm still part and parcel of the Nigerian Senate and part and parcel of the press corps here, and I will continue to come to brief you. I'm not going to be that minister in absentia. I would like to be a minister that interacts with the press, even in the National Assembly, so that you know what we are doing. And whenever we are going for either commissioning or anything that we do in that regard, I'll brief you from time to time. So whatever ministry I'm giving, I want you to feed it and be part of it. I'll listen to your suggestions so we can make Nigeria better. Because not a single person has a prerogative of knowledge to make this country better. Any small idea. Some people say there's a sense in nonsense. I'm assuring you that we will carry you along. Thank you, gentlemen.
Distinguished, your people have 2 questions for you.
If there's any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Briefly, very briefly. No,
Distinguished, yes. Thank you very much for coming and congratulations for your appointment.
Thank you.
Let me see because of the camera. My name is Edwin. I represent Voice of Nigeria.
Thank you.
Nigerians have come to associate that name, Godswill Akpabio, with uncommon governor because of what they see in Akwa Ibom State, yes, and uncommon senator. And now you've been nominated as an uncommon minister to be.
Thank you.
What would be that singular thing that you want Nigeria and Nigerians to remember you for as a legacy by the time you would have finished your service as a minister?
Love. I want you to remember me as the man who loved Nigeria so well that he preferred to move the country forward instead of moving his pocket forward.
Okay, sir. My name is Bade Uwari. I report for the
after Bade, the song.
Some of us have a hunch that the Niger Delta ministry is assigned to you. Assuming it happens that way, what are the things you would love to do differently?
Well, first and foremost, it is the prerogative of Mr. President to decide which ministry anybody should go to. So I'm talking to you as a minister designate and not a minister of any particular ministry. And I told you that wherever I find myself, I will leave that place better than I met it. And that's the philosophy that I have in life. Even if I was serving as a commissioner, I left the place better than I met it. Then I had the opportunity to be a governor, I left it better than I met it. When I had the opportunity to be a minority leader, I left it better than I met it. And that is why today you can see the struggle to be a minority leader. So before then, many people never reckoned with that office. But eventually, they came to realize that, yes, democracy is all about opposition. Because with opposing views, it will shape the policy of government. So if I were to be in the Niger Delta ministry you're talking about, The first thing will be to note the fact that that is an interventionist agency, and therefore that we should be able, after a decade, to see what is on ground. I don't know whether you can see that today. I will not go and engage myself in politically motivated infrastructure, where in a rainforest, you do a road, and 6 months after, the road starts smiling after commissioning. I would like to leave legacy in a way that when you come in there, you can say, yes, this looks like a job that was done by Niger Delta Ministry. I don't think for now that we have so much to show. I think peace is extremely important there, because without peace, we cannot get enough resources to run the country. I also think that it should be a place that should actually be a source of light. Development should take off from there and reach other parts of Nigeria. But it doesn't matter the ministry. I know that I heard when my colleagues were asking some people questions, very leading questions. Some were touching on oil and gas and all that. When I was the governor, I had the opportunity to partner with a company from London, and I built the first gas processing plant in my state, in a place in Esreke. I did not only do that, I did 69 kilometers of gas pipeline to Ikorobasi to supply gas to Ibom power plants, which I completed. And I was able to add about 191 megawatts to the national grid. I also gave the opportunity to Alscott to have gas from there. And so I was able to minimize gas flaring at Ibro and the shoreline. And I also did 52 kilometers working with that company to the NIB.